On Sunday evening, the 6th of April, the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu arrived in Washington for what can only be described as a politically urgent and diplomatically uh, combustible visit. The meeting with Donald Trump, his first with a world leader since the imposition of sweeping new US tariffs, was hastily arranged following a curious trilateral call between Netanyahu, Trump, and the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban. So, a 17% tariff on Israeli exports to the United States. That's no small matter. The US is Israel's largest single trading partner, and the Israeli Manufacturers Association has already projected a $2.3 billion blow. $3 billion blow to Israeli exports, with job losses estimated at up to 26,000. Netanyahu, who preemptively lifted Israeli tariffs on US imports as a gesture of goodwill, found that the move was rebuffed, and Trump's so-called Liberation Day tariffs swept in anyway, no exceptions. So the question looms, are these tariffs purely economic instruments, or have they been wielded for political leverage? Eitan Gilboa, a veteran observer of US-Israeli relations, believes the latter, and Trump may well be using them to extract diplomatic concessions, particularly in Gaza policy and perhaps West Bank annexation ambitions. Which brings us to the second pillar of the meeting, the war in Gaza and the fate of the 59 remaining hostages, 24 of whom are believed to still be alive. Both leaders reaffirm their commitment to defending Israel, to defeating Hamas, but with slightly diverging endgames. Netanyahu's strategy remains one of maximalism, military dominance, not diplomatic compromise. Trump, however, revived his January proposal, a US-led peace force to govern Gaza and a so-called voluntary depopulation of Palestinians, a plan rejected across the Arab world as moral abdication, although some Palestinians have now left. Netanyahu surprisingly echoed the choice language, arguing that Palestinians could opt to leave Gaza during its reconstruction, and this reframing of forced displacement as a freedom of movement is likely to cause fresh outrage in the region and further alienate mediators like Qatar and Egypt. And then there's Iran. Trump returned to his familiar rhetoric, hinting at military action over Tehran's nuclear program and praising Netanyahu's intransigence. Experts believe that sanctions against Iran will follow. There will be more bluster, possibly real consequences for Iranian-backed proxies across the region. A fourth, less publicized item in their meeting was the International Criminal Court's arrest warrant for Netanyahu, issued over the alleged war crimes in Gaza. And to avoid arrest en route, Netanyahu's aircraft took a 400-kilometer detour over friendly skies, and that symbolic act reveals the gravity of his legal situation and the irony of the meeting in Washington, as Trump himself remains under multiple indictments. Two men facing legal jeopardy, shaking hands before the world. And there was always theatre. Trump opted to cancel the traditional press conference, preferring what aides described as one big, beautiful news conference in the Oval Office. Reporters were few, sound bites many. And among the more surreal was Trump's comparison of Hamas hostage treatment to the Holocaust. "Did they wink at you?" he asked survivors. It was a comment both tasteless and historically illiterate. Meanwhile, he falsely claimed Netanyahu opposed the 2005 Gaza withdrawal, despite the historical record showing he supported it in cabinet. All of this while global markets shudder under the weight of the tariff reforms, the tariff regime, and while Israel faces intense scrutiny for the deaths of 15 aid workers in Gaza, an issue Netanyahu avoided addressing altogether. The meeting produced no tangible shift in the Gaza conflict, no retreat on tariffs, no serious plan for the hostages, but it laid bare the alignment of two embattled leaders, both iconoclasts, both facing internal and external prosecution, both comfortable bending reality to fit their narrative. Trump's America First trade dogma, Netanyahu's siege state diplomacy are converging into a shared performance, part power play, part press stunt, and entirely transactional. Whether this meeting ends with peace, pressure, or paralysis remains to be seen. But if this was a prelude to Trump's second act on the world stage, then Netanyahu has once again cast himself as Washington's most daring, if desperate, support player.